All right, welcome to Return on Podcast. Tyler Jeffcoat here. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. Hey guys, before we dive into a great conversation on getting your underperforming keywords to perform on Amazon, how to view the data sets coming out of Amazon better, I was just going to ask you for a favor. So if you watch the show on YouTube or listen to it on one of the podcast players, would you mind hitting like and subscribe? I know that feels like I hear that on every podcast I listen to, and I'm like, oh man, would you just shut up and get on with the show? I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to do it right now and just say, hey guys, we could use your help. We're trying to grow the show. We're trying to get more people to get to experience our content, and we would appreciate your help. So thanks. So let me just introduce our guest here real quick, and then we'll dive into today's content. John Tilley is the founder of Zonguru. And what I really like about John and his company is their emphasis on their seller culture. They have a culture, most of their teammates actually are sellers on Amazon. And because of his history there and the way the tool is evolving, they have a unique ability to understand what matters and to help their customers focus on what matters. And then, now they do this through a small agency, but they also do this through a tool, a set of web tools called Zonguru that I would kind of view as being one of the power user tools on the market right now. And so I wanted to grab John. I wanted to bring him onto the show, and I wanted to ask him some questions related to really getting better focus on which products, which keywords, which issues to focus on today, and how the evolving Amazon landscape impacts profitability for sellers. So I hope you enjoy this conversation. Thanks for listening to Return on Podcast. It's time to maximize profitability and cash flow. It's time to learn habits and hacks from the best e-com CEOs. It's time for Return on Podcast with me, Tyler Jeffcoat. All right, really excited in today's episode of Return on Podcast to bring in my friend John Tilley from Zonguru. John, how you doing, man?
What's up, Tyler? Good to see you. I know we've had a previous catch-up call, and I like your style, man. I'm excited for today's interview. It's gonna be fun.
Well, thanks, John. Likewise, it's like, you and I live in a sea of data, and we're going to talk a lot about some damn data today on this episode. But at the end of the day, this really is a relationship business, and it's likewise, my friend. It's always good to connect with the good guys in the space, the guys that are doing big things the right way. And that's really the way I view your company. So I want to give the listeners a little bit of context for your story. Hey, we got our toes in a couple of different ponds here. We're building some models that are working. Give us kind of your quick founder story. How did you get into this game?
Oh yeah, man. It's an interesting game becoming a founder. But the quick 101 is the accent's originally from South Africa. I grew up in South Africa, and then went on my merry way traveling the world. My first career was in digital advertising on the kind of account director and strategy side for some pretty big clients like Gillette, Burger King, SAB breweries, these kind of big accounts. And that took me from South Africa to London, where I worked in London for a few years, and then took me over to Los Angeles, where I settled in 2006. So I've been here in Los Angeles for almost 20 years now. That original career was about 15 years in advertising. And I always had the entrepreneurial itch. I call it entrepreneurial FOMO. I had many ideas, wanted to that felt like who I should be. And it was only in 2012, I think, where I ran into this concept of Amazon and selling products and having a product-based business. We've heard these stories before. Mine was a little more funky, where I just stumbled into a conference in Vegas, which was Amazon focused, and the penny dropped for me, and I spent the next year launching on Amazon with my own private label brands, which did well. I packed my stuff up and left the advertising gig. A couple of years after that, based on a lot of, we had built some internal enterprise software at the agencies for some of our clients. And so I had some experience there, but I saw the opportunity to launch Zonguru as an operational tool set for sellers, specifically around this idea of, I had this image in my head of GIGO, which is that marketing term, garbage in, garbage out, right? And clearly doing the opposite, which is a lot of tech. There's so many data points and so much that you can look at, but focusing on what is the right data points and presenting it in a visualized way that is impactful for making the right business decisions and automations. I felt we had an opportunity to do that better. And so that's been the lens that we've based on all of our tools on Zonguru, and gone through all the trials and tribulations as a founder and building, a crappy tech, out of India that was breaking constantly as we were growing, through all those stories, through to finding my partner and CTO who has a very strong seller DNA as well. And we have a big team based in Sofia, Bulgaria, Eastern European, dev team who do fantastic work. We've been through all those trials and tribulations over the years and navigating, building tech, competing against the biggest, tech players in our space, and holding our own, being first in many areas with our tech. And also, we've been around since 2017. So navigating all the changes that have happened on Amazon with its own, algorithms and data, but also the industry as a whole. It's such a dynamic, young industry that is completely changing. Including the whole drop of the pandemic on everyone becoming involved in e-commerce. So it's been a pretty cool ride. But that's in general, our story.
But your timing was perfect, though, because I think I was talking to my friend, a friend in the Amazon space a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about how not easy, but if you made money as an Amazon seller in 2010, your primary attribute was faith. You trusted that Amazon was not going to steal everything from you, and you trusted that Amazon was going to bring customers to the market. But if you had that faith, you actually had a pretty easy go of it. You put a listing up, the product moves, you count money, mama's happy, everything's good, right? But what evolved, and I think this evolved about the time you started building Zonguru, John, is as the market has matured even a little bit, we can't get away with half-assing the management of our portfolios anymore. And so you combine that reality, hey, guess what? You will lose if you run this business poorly, with the fact that Amazon just gives us a sea of data. There's so much data. So much, in fact, that we tend to ignore it because it's hard to parse through what matters and what doesn't. I just think a tool like Zonguru is in a great position to help sellers focus their limited energy on what really moves the needle. And I'm curious, when you and I were talking a couple of weeks ago, you made a comment about how interested you have become in focusing not just on the top couple of keywords for a particular listing or product, but focusing on the value of keywords 25 to 50, kind of the second page keywords almost. Give me your thoughts on that. Like, what do you, is this like true long tail thinking, or where's your brain when it comes to kind of focus on the value of these 25, rank 25 to 50 keywords?
Yeah, I'll answer that in just a second. I want to make one note on what you just said previously, which is, Amazon has clearly become harder and more competitive over the years. I definitely remember when I launched, everyone was like, Amazon is so difficult right now. And, it's the same thing that everyone says today. I want to just highlight that there's still a massive opportunity for anybody. And importantly, that when things become harder, therein lies your moat, right? It shouldn't be easy. It shouldn't be just to, just slap something up on Amazon and you can make a $1 billion, right? Because you're going to lose that business as fast as you started it. And it happened to a lot of people. It's the people who are serious, who look at the data, who can look through everything in the right way to find the opportunities and create a sophisticated, great business that have a moat over everyone else and can have an amazing business. So it is an amazing platform that's even more amazing today than it was then. Clearly, strategies have to be more sophisticated, and that leads into how we think about Amazon today versus a few years ago. And I think the biggest challenge for any seller, if you talk to him today, is like profitable growth. How do I can grow on Amazon and I can spend all day on PPC, but that's not necessarily going to be good for my business because it might not be the right profitable growth, so I can actually grow a decent business. And so when you think about Amazon, your most profitable growth comes from your organic sales, right? If you have your margins, yes, there's fees and everything, but if you can rank better with the algorithm, you're getting more organic sales. Great. So how we look at it for a lot of our kind of top end clients is, what are all the keywords that you index for, and importantly, what are the keywords that you index for that are sitting just outside of the buyer zone? So Amazon already indexes you and realizes you're a great product for these specific types of searches, but you're not quite in that exact buyer zone. And that's typically, that first page for keywords, long tail, short tail, etc. So if you can understand what are the keywords that are sitting just outside of that buyer zone, and then know what are the right kind of strategies that you could focus on to move those keywords up into the position, your long-term profitable growth is going to be there. And so we have a lot of success around our data methods, which is a consistent practice of identifying those opportunities and then using the major levers that we have available to us between PPC, SEO, pricing, to focus and target those keywords and move them up in rank and track that performance. And there's a lot of benefits that come from that. One is obviously your organic sales, which are most profitable, but the more you can rank better for keywords in the buyer zone, the more halo effect starts to create, and you get a lot of other keywords that start to rank better, and your alignment with the algorithm is higher, right? So that's the process that we like to look at around keywords. Now, there's going to be people listening here are going to be like, well, is it really keywords these days, or is it is the algorithm moving away from that? Is it more semantic? We can talk about that in a second, but in a nutshell, people are searching for Amazon using keywords and keyword phrases. How is that interpreted by your listing, your ranking, and how can you align that better with the algorithm to get more sales? That's what we need to do.
And so you started to bring up what I think is my next question is, where do you see search performance evolving within Amazon? I feel like you hear buzz about how AI might impact some of Amazon's algorithms sometime soon. You talked about semantics. Like what are you seeing that's on the Zonguru kind of radar that we should have on our minds?
Yeah, it's funny, AI is such a buzzword, and an algorithm is, AI anyway. We were the first to launch an AI integration with ChatGPT at the beginning of last year. So we certainly have a lot of experience there, but, we jumped on that because AI became a consumer focused word, but AI has been around forever. Right. And all of us in tech have worked on AI aspects. With regards to the algorithm right now and using AI in it, and this idea of semantics, which is in a nutshell, it's saying, hey, the AI isn't just looking at specific keywords that you have in your listing and therefore rank you based on that. There's some intelligence around, hey, what are the keywords grouped around that core keyword search that would be really good for your listing, and therefore the AI is intelligent enough to rank you for those, even though you might not have in your listing, etc. And how do you navigate that? And that's been around with Amazon for years, right? You can go back a couple of years and type in a keyword that you don't have in your listing, and you still rank for it, right? So there's always been a level of AI and intelligence around that. I think where it's going in the next years is just a super acceleration on that AI. And it is getting to a sophisticated point where not only is it about AI understanding your product and your what you should rank for and how to present that to customers, but also an understanding around a customer's consumer behavior. What are their likes? What are their preferences? Typically, if they're looking at this kind of product, what would be great to bundle and get that experience in front of them? Or if they're right now their search is need driven based on a specific keyword entered search, there's going to be AI assistant chatbots that can talk about an experience and therefore present a bunch of products to you, so it could be experience focused. These are a lot of things that potentially in theory are being talked about right now that could change on the Amazon shopping experience. And obviously us as business owners have to figure out how to navigate that, and more importantly, not panic. Because there's going to be changes happening to the algorithm and stuff, but at the end of the day, you got to understand that us as business owners, our job is to make sure we have great products with great listings that talk about the benefits of products, and it's Amazon's job and AI's job to interpret that as a prompt, right? We're prompting the AI that then will take that and make sure that we get elevated into the right positions to sell our great products, right? So if we're doing our job well, Amazon can take that prompt to then do their job well on their side.
That makes sense. I mean, it's so interesting right now because you're right. Amazon is always, here's what we love about Amazon. Sometimes we like to complain about Amazon, but Amazon always is going to act consistently in Amazon's best interest and in the customer's best interest normally. And so what we have to do, John, is such a great point you make there, is we got to focus on what we can control. And the fact that there's a change, that it's not constant movement towards like stasis, is actually a plus. That means there's new competitive advantages that can be gained by just doing it better. And so I think, listen, a lot of millionaires and billionaires were made during the rougher markets of 2008 to 2010. I know several of them. And I guarantee you, because I see them in our portfolio here, that a lot of high value exits for Amazon related brands are getting created right now, here at the beginning of 2024, because they're focused on what you just said. How can I understand my customer better? What does she want? What does she value? What makes a better experience for her? How can I engineer my products to be absolutely perfect to meet those needs, or as close as I can get it? And then how can I, leverage the data that's available to me? Because I think that's what's so unique about Amazon, John, is that we have so much data that tells us, like, we never used to know this. You'd put a TV ad up 30 years ago and you don't know if it was making you money. I mean, you maybe start flirting with Google, but now we can say, oops, I need to negate that keyword because that's not working for me anymore. And so just the ability to dial it in, yes, creates competition, but man, I'm with you, dude. I just see crazy amounts of opportunity in the marketplace right now. And I really wish that Amazon would figure out virtual bundles. I mean, I know that they can technically do them, but they're just not economically viable for most of our clients, because it would be really cool to continue moving down the road of, okay, the algorithm, AI, whatever you call it, knows that Tyler not only needs to buy a pen, but that he has historically liked black things. All right. He bought the black spoon last week, so we're going to give him the black pen. Oh, but he also seems to buy some kind of an accessory that goes with the pen. And so creating more niched, kind of customized offerings that meet the full need of a customer. Some of my most successful clients, John, have done a great job of taking a product and bundling it with a really cheap add-on, but that cheap add-on actually generates a ton of value and allows them to differentiate the listing against their competitors. I mean, are you kind of seeing stuff like that happening with your clients as well?
Yeah, I think we're seeing that. I think certainly having a variety of products and ways that you can bundle that are things that are having a positive impact on Amazon and the algorithm and the ability to rank better, right? So not only having a couple of great products, but having variations on that are helpful in the overall picture. I think going back to your point before this, Amazon's job is to always own creating a best marketplace where they can surface the most creative, best, amazing products in the world, right, to customers. If they lose sight of that, they don't really have a business model to a degree, right? Yes, their biggest thing is distribution and getting that to you in a fast, free way. But at the end of the day, if you're a customer, you need to be able to find an amazing product, and Amazon has to support sellers in getting there. So, I always, whenever there's big changes happening on Amazon, I always lean on that, which is like, we're aligned as a seller or a purveyor or whatever. And Amazon, we're aligned on, if we have great products, Amazon's going to give you a shot. You're going to get a chance of getting in front of them, because if they miss that boat, they don't have a real business over the long term anymore, right? So you're always going to get a shot with Amazon, and as long as you're not looking for the hacks and you're creating amazing quality products and you're being consistent with your business, you're going to grow that thing, right? And so that's what we can do as sellers. On Amazon side, they have to make sure that they are keep leaning onto the customer experience versus where they can just make a bunch of money for their stock, right? And this is the problem with any massive public facing company, right? Is they're going to have Google's done that with PPC. If you remember back in the day, like, all of a sudden PPC came up and like Google was like, wow, we can make a lot of money out of this. And they started to, dilute the organic positioning, but that really, at the end of the day, hurts the people who are searching for great products, right? And so, Amazon's going through that right now, as they're leaning on the greedy side of trying to make as much money out of us as sellers, and adding in all these different, pay for play variation types, but they're diluting the organic true experience on the site. And so at some point they're going to have to correct that, and it's happened in the past and it's going to happen again. So maybe I'm going off on a tangent there, but at the end of the day, it's there's a lot of data, there's a lot of ways to get your product visible, in front of customers, and there's a job that Amazon has to do, and they're not always going to get it right, but they've got to, for having a competitive advantage in the marketplace, they're going to have to get it right and support sellers and obviously the customer at the end of the day.
Love it. No, and I don't think that's a tangent, because I think it's a great actually segue here, John, into one of the things I'm observing. So 5 years ago, I was begging my customers, whatever tool they were paying for, if they were paying for any tool that they're integrating with Amazon, I'm like, guys, please just look at them. Like, you're paying for them. Like, please look at the profit modules. Please look at the other areas. We don't care what tool you use. Buy what you like. And what I see shifting over the last couple of years is that as the market has gotten our attention, it shook us a little bit, John. It said, hey, if you're going to win, you're going to have to pay attention. I see the rise of a class of users that I call power users. Like, these are men and women. These are either brand owners that have more sophisticated brand needs. They have a large catalog, or they're managing multiple brands, or they might even be agencies or aggregators that just manage multiple brands. And I get the sense that Zonguru is trying to become a better platform for that power user. Can you speak to that a little bit? What are you seeing in terms of like listen, this isn't just mom in her basement anymore. This is a sophisticated operator using sophisticated data. Like, how are you seeing the use of that data evolve, and how is Zonguru kind of partnering with those guys?
Yeah, the industry is getting more sophisticated. We've seen, a couple of years ago, big brands were potentially staying away from Amazon. Over the last years, it's become a necessity. They're there, and they, these are very sophisticated enterprise brands that have data teams that look at specific data for the smallest impacts on growth, right? And so that's coming our way to our Amazon and agencies who are running that, and brands as well. There's a lot more data points, and there's a lot more to look at, right? So what we do well is we obviously have tech for individual brands, but we have put a lot of our focus on our flagship product development around creating tech for agencies that are managing a number of clients, and that's our strongest product market fit, which is it's a good pat on the back for us, because at the end of the day, agencies to a degree are having to be more sophisticated in terms of where they're looking for the opportunities of growth, but also more importantly, they have to lean on, being efficient, even more efficient with their time. And that's where Zonguru really stands out, is like we're the best at, providing the right data in the most impactful way and in the most efficient way. And as an agency, you have to, focus on those pieces. So, we used to call it, it's still relevant today, but shiny object syndrome, right? A lot of platforms out there, they potentially analyzing things to the nth degree, but if they're not looking at, that might sound flashy, but if it's not really going to move the needle on the business, why do it? And so there's a balance between all the data that's out there. What do you focus on, and how can you get sophisticated on the stuff that actually matters? And that's what we truly try and do. And it's been great. We we've been great in the industry because we have a very strong seller DNA. And that's helped to service our sellers on our platform. We have a lot of agency brand or clients that are using our platform. That's one of our focuses. We also have an internal subdivision agency that we've created so that we can solve problems in a like-minded way for agencies and develop our product better, and also support our agencies. So we like-minded in that fashion, and it's resulting in not just our core product being better, but additional variations on our core product, which are very suitable for power users or bigger brands, like bulk optimizations, tracking of that buyer zone of keywords over time in a way that you can look at it from a bird's eye view and understand, is the overall health of my business improving week over week? These are kind of things that we do in a better way, so that at the end of the day, the power users on an agency, for example, are account managers, optimization experts. Can we help them to do better with the data that they can get access to?
I love it. Yeah, because whether I'm an agency and I have 20 teammates that are helping me manage accounts, or whether I'm just a brand owner, really, really quickly, the number of ASINs I'm managing gets beyond what I can put my finger on every single day. And so you mentioned two things there I think are crucial, guys. Make sure you don't miss this. One is I have to know which ASINs should be squeaky, not just the shiny thing that I'm thinking about this morning, but what's the one that actually has something wrong with it that demands my attention, or something that's an opportunity that I can focus on. And I need that to be kind of idiot proof, even if it's just me. Like if I'm just managing my own brand, I need to be able to turn the RAM of my brain onto inventing the next thing, and know that if something needs my attention, it's going to kind of pop up and say, hey, buddy, knock, knock, take a look at this. Because if I have two products, my job every day is to look at both of them. All right. I'm going to spend 5 minutes, John, on the first product. Okay. I'm going to spend 5 minutes on the second product. Looks like we're good. We're moving on. But as soon as you have 10 products, as soon as you have 20 products, as soon as you have hundreds of ASINs under management, being able to make bulk edits, like you mentioned, but more importantly, making the right tweaks to the right ASINs, to the right listings, is just hard. And again, we've said this a couple times on this episode, but like, it's not acceptable anymore to half-ass that. We can't just like make general plays across our entire portfolio or across all keywords and just, okay, today, John, I'm going to try this strategy, boom, and allocate it to everything I touch. We're going to have to be a little bit more sophisticated along with the marketplace. And I think tools like Zonguru actually it's exciting for me, because I think it's a game changer, giving us that level of visibility. Hey, you mentioned something to me that caught my attention about a growth audit. And I think this might be an offer that you have, but can I just give you the floor? Could you tell me a little bit about this growth offer and who should be interested in taking you up on that offer?
Yeah, I'll mention that, and just going back to just carrying on from the point that you mentioned there, it's about the data and the insights to optimize your business and maximize your potential on Amazon. That's critical. But the other big piece of that is what also makes us really good entrepreneurs, which is consistent action, right? And so you've got to have the insights, but again, there's hundreds, thousands of ASINs or even specific keywords within each ASIN that you're trying to improve upon. And you can't do that all at once. So how do you come up with a game plan based on data insights that you get, and then have a game plan that you can execute on in the right, consistent way to get results over time? And that's one of the most critical things about being successful on Amazon, is that, hey, I'm patient, but I've got a plan, and I'm being consistent in my focus and my progress, and that's what gets results. We've got an internal policy where we incentivize anyone on our team to become an Amazon seller over the years, and this has resulted in a good number of our employees becoming successful Amazon sellers. And the ones that are most typically are most successful, you can take a guess at it, but it's typically our engineers. engineers are actually creative by nature, but what they're also really good at is like they use data to make decisions, and they just follow a method, and they're consistent, and they've got serious discipline, right? And that's just innate in people who become engineers. So that's the other piece of it, is you've got to have the game plan and the consistent action. And that's going into this point of the growth audit. We have this free growth audit for qualified brands, which you have to be doing about 2 million plus on Amazon to qualify to get the growth audit, because it's we have a team member that dives deep on the data, but we analyze your accounts, and then we surface to you what are the current keywords that you index for, and where are you positioned, namely the buy zone, outside of the buy zone, and so on, and then what's the actual revenue value of those keywords in their positions. What kind of revenue are they currently creating for your business? And then obviously, most importantly, for the keywords that you're not in the buy zone, if we could move them into the buy zone, what are those keywords worth, and what's the revenue dollar on that? And then we have a realistic cut of that, where we can show you, based on your keywords and the ones that can really move, what is the actual realistic value of those keywords. So it's a great way to scratch an itch of like, hey, I'm currently doing 50,000 a month with this specific ASIN. The true obtainable revenue I can get is anywhere between 100 to 150,000. And then how do you get there, which is obviously the consistent action is what we have. So that's part of the growth audit. We also do a pricing analysis around not just looking at your COGS and conversion rate aside. We look at is your pricing correct for the pricing for the competitive strength of that pricing tier. So from an algorithmic perspective, Amazon is going to favor your price points and your product if the other competitors at that price point are weaker and not as strong, because at the end of the day, Amazon wants to surface the best quality product to their customers. So understanding what pricing tier you're in, how strong your competitors, and how many customers are buying at that price point versus other ones is a really interesting way to understand, hey, should I be priced in a different pricing tier? Should I be $20 more expensive because the competitors are less strong there, and actually there's a really good revenue TAM that I can access at that point? So we kind of look at that as part of the growth audit. So it's a pretty cool way to just get a reflection on some really good potential for your business, where you're at today and where you could potentially be.
So John, if somebody wanted to take advantage of that offer that you just mentioned, should they just go to zonguru.com, or is there another way that they can grab you? What's the best way for them to reach out?
Yeah, there's actually right off our homepage at the top, there's a banner which says growth audit. You can click on that. You can navigate to that page. I can give you the URL. And then, there's a little form you fill out there, and based on your qualification, we would then connect with you and get your data connected, and then go from there. So it is as I said, there is a certain pre-qualification to get access to that. But otherwise, certainly jumping into our tools and checking out, at least, do you have the best listing on page one versus your competitors, or hey, can the AI function create a better listing than what I currently have, and how does that look? You can do all of that by just going to zonguru.com. There's a 7-day free trial. You can jump in and play with our tools.
Love it. So, and again, guys, we always do this, but we'll make sure that those URLs are easy to find in the show notes. So if you're thinking, dang, John, that sounds awesome, I want to take a next step there, I just encourage you to take advantage of it. Anytime you can get free value that may change the way you think about your portfolio, like, do it. I think that's a no-brainer. And then obviously you may find some value in partnering with them as well. So, okay, last question here, John. Do it every week on this podcast. I just want to learn from you. I mean, we're trying to guarantee our listeners that they're going to get a return on the investment. They've given us 32, 33 minutes now with the intros in here. Is there a habit, hack, practice, kind of rhythm that's given you an outrageous return on investment in your life?
Yes, I think there's many, and it's a typical entrepreneurial themes around getting up early, meditating, going on walks, journaling. These are typical things that have brought a lot of importance to or return on investment to my growth as an individual and as a business owner. But I would say probably out of all of those, like the one that has recently given me a lot of ROI is the practice of manifestation. And it's part of my daily practice, but it's that idea of having a vision of where you want to take your business or your personal life and manifest, and taking a few moments to manifest around that. And it sounds woo-woo a little bit sometimes, but if you can, the way I see it is, if you take time to consciously manifest about certain goals, you are training your subconscious to think about that outside of your general conscious hours. And your brain is working around the clock to get you to whatever you're manifesting. So that practice of being open to like, hey, this is what I'm achieving. I'm thinking about it. I'm visualizing where I want to go. That is great prompting for your internal subconscious to find a way to deliver on that goal. And it happens all the time. And so, I was a little bit in a space where maybe I wasn't thinking a lot. I was getting stuck in the weeds and not thinking about that, and spending more time focusing on that. You immediately start to see the opportunities become more apparent, and that's just being open to your manifestations in the universe and where it's going to take you. So take some time out every day to visualize where you're going, and spend some time practicing on that.
And that's so true. I can even just honestly, to be transparent with you guys, I've had a couple of moments here recently where I've caught my mindset being not where I want it to be, and it's amazing, John, in like a 12-hour period, how my life is different and better when I reposition my thinking to be clear about what I want in the future and what I have to be grateful for, which is a ton. And instead of like, what I can do, which is be pissed off about where I'm disappointed or where things aren't going the way I want them to go, or there's so many tasks to do and blah, blah, blah. There's always going to be that. And it doesn't get us any closer to our dreams. And so I think giving yourself permission, in fact, embracing the discipline of dreaming, envisioning a better future for yourself, I think it's powerful, dude. So thank you for sharing that. Anything else about that before we close shop here for today?
Yeah, I think it's just you don't hijack the positive energy that you can create in the space. I've seen it I've had that feedback in my entrepreneurial group where I'm like, oh yeah, I really want to achieve this, but maybe I won't hit that. Maybe I'll make a joke of it. Maybe I won't hit that. Maybe it won't. And they're like, why cut that energy off? Like, if you want to go after that, put it out there, but then don't hijack that and say something else as a joke or whatever, because you're cutting off the potential of what they can be. And so, owning the potential and your dreams and your potential, what you're owning that and speaking out loud about it is a good thing. And you're putting the energy out there, and there's no reason to cut that off, and let it sit out there, and it's going to find its way. So, yeah.
Well, guys, do yourself a favor, grab that tactic, employ it. I mean, listen, we could talk all about things that are meaningful in our lives. John's just giving you a good one. Why don't you take 5 minutes tomorrow morning and do something about it? That would be my encouragement to you. And John, thanks again for being on the Returnal Podcast Show. This has been a really interesting, thought-provoking episode for me. And I'm going to make sure your links so people can find you will be readily available. If someone wants to reach out, wants to learn more about what you guys are doing at Zonguru. But I just want to say thanks, man. Thank you so much for spending time with us today.
All right. Thank you, man. That was awesome. Appreciate it.
All right. And guys, until next week's show, just want to say thank you. Again, you guys have made it. Wow. 30 plus minutes into this episode. We really hope it gives you a return on the investment of your time. Can't wait to hear from you. Can't wait to hear how your brand, your pursuit of the right keywords, your ability to use data to drive your business forward continues to evolve. So until next week, you guys kill it. Cheers.
All right.